Boom.
We're back.
Woo woo. Where's the enthusiasm, people?
Woo woo.
Yes, so we had a little bit of a hiatus because life be lifing. And that is...
trains keep going. That a great philosopher, at the end of the day gonna end.
And wasn't that a proverb? Oh, we love Glow. Okay, yeah, Glow.
Woo!
But welcome back. We're going to be starting our next book of Vagabonds.
Vagabond.
By the author Elogosha Osunde. I don't remember the name.
Yeah, we don't want to disrespect it.
I sure don't.
Beautiful name.
I sure don't, but I think I said it right.
Better than I could say it.
I think you actually told me how to pronounce it right. So when we first introduced the book. So we will be covering the first part of this book. And if you've ever opened this book before, you know it's not as traditional. So we're going to cover all the way up to Thomas. So all things up to there. The epigraph, all that.
Epigraph. So first of all, I had to search what epigraph was.
Okay.
I was like, what is this? This is very different.
There's epigraph.
It's probably like, or I guess the best way I could understand it, it's almost equivalent to like a prologue, but it just, as Google mentioned, the Google said, it just kind of like sets the tone, but it's also, I learned, like, that's what you would call those, like, you ever go to the buildings and you have like the ingrained, like, whatever's in the stone.
Embossed.
Yeah, I was about to say another word. Whatever's in the stone.
But that's also epitaph because it's also on gravestones too.
Yeah, so those are considered epigraphs. But yeah, it said it just sets the tone and theme of the book. And I like it because I mean, I think in the beginning she said that it wasn't gonna be like a normal book. Or it's gonna, like they said it was different. So
it is.
Yeah, like I think I like that. Just from the rip, it was like, this is a different type of book. And from there, I know they go into definitions, but that's kind of all I have for the epigraph part that I could remember, that I could recall.
Yeah, I wasn't really going in order because I didn't
okay.
But I mean, we're going how we go,
okay.
And that's really all that matters. But the definitions, they were.
I learned something.
What did you learn?
No. So they did get down to the official definition that I always envisioned what a vagabond was, but I didn't technically know, according to the definitions that we present in this book, it was a person without a home.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I always thought it was just like somebody that was nasty, sleazy, or disgusting.
Well,
I always...
Do you see how that type of association with people who are homeless, houseless kind of goes? It's just like, this world, you haven't been able to, find stability in this world. And because you aren't a productive member of the society looks at you as if you are nothing. You're filthy. You should be avoided because life is so easy. Ain't it? And if you can't figure it out, then you suck. And we do that, and we have these perceptions. It's like, And within those definitions and what it makes me think about, of course, with the book, is not only with homeless, houseless people, but with other communities that are looked at with disgust. Because you aren't fitting into what society says is productive, or what is righteous, what is good, what we say is good. And it's just like,
yeah. Because they also mentioned migrants or immigrants. And just like, but I think they added to that some of it is intentional, but some of it is not, like moving and not having somewhere to stay and stuff like that. So
yeah, it was like I guess your English standard version of what a vagabond is by definition, and then the Nigerian specifically.
Oh yeah.
definition of what a vagabond is. And it's just like...
Yeah, because they also talked about sexual immorality and all that good stuff.
And they also have many redacted definitions as well, where it's just like,
yeah.
I wonder what this meant.
Yeah.
And what groups are included in this vagabond meaning. Yes. That was really all I had with the definitions.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about whom it applies to. And again, we'll be getting into that as the book progresses of what they mean by vagabonds, who they mean by vagabonds.
Yeah. Because I feel like it was a lot of... It felt very male targeted. I think they said male a lot, but...
I mean, it's,
I think
of course...
said women or...
They said women in there too.
Yeah.
A little bit. But of course, there is this pedestal that men have put other men on, ourselves on, to where you have to fit into this role. And if you deviate from that, then you are weak. And I actually thought of another quote from a very famous writer, proverbist. I don't know what to say. But the proverb says, you know you that bitch when you cause all this conversation. So it's like, you're always being talked about in all the rooms. And it's like, do y'all hate me because I'm so great? Or because I get to be real in ways you can't be? Or what is it? So, oh yeah, the other thing I want to talk about within those definitions, or maybe we'll talk afterwards, I forget. But it's just like, when we think about vagabonds, and like I said, the other groups, what's always slipped in there to make it disgusting to society is like the gross indecency part, and how that is also played in our faces, basically. The family, the community, the lgbt community, if you will. Because what we do is always gross. What we do is also always indecent. It's always associated with like pedophilia. And it's like, again, we gotta make it look like y'all are deviants so that we can other you easier. And we can put all these boundaries and borders around you so that we can throw you away. But yeah, that was what I thought about.
Great point.
Thanks. I tried. A lot of these I wrote was just quotes.
Okay.
So on to, what's the next part?
Because I think like my favorite quote is actually in the first part. So far, my favorite.
The welcome
quote.
note from the city.
Oh, that was the next part, but no, my favorite quote I think was in Thomas, but I could be wrong.
We ain't in Thomas.
We're not, so I'm probably gonna have to. I'm not gonna say it, and then I'll like review it to make sure, because I was also driving when So
we're gonna do better. It's again, this is a new type of reading experience. It's not so much markered like chapters. Yeah. This is we're figuring it out as we go. So we gonna get on track with that.
After definitions, it was the
a welcome note from the city.
Oh, welcome note from the city. I did like this, and again, I'm thinking now I'm a little bit interested, before I talk about like the actual note, I'm a little bit interested to know, are other books like this? Are other books like so involved or so entwined with their culture, their city, and stuff like that? Because it's just like,
all books, I mean, American books are like that all the time.
A quote, a welcome from the city?
Or I just thought this was just part of the book in terms of the...
Oh, I thought this was like...
a real welcome from like Legos.
Yeah. Because I was looking up facts and stuff that it was talking about. I don't know. That's why I thought... Oh, it might be intertwined with the book. Never mind. Never. But no, it did. But no. Okay, let's go back to. I was like, oh, this is very interesting. Like you have a government official saying, But it might be dealing with the book because the first part was kind of intertwined. We'll talk about it. So
we're talking about it.
Yeah, we're talking about it. So the welcome from the city. I think at least the message that I got from it was kind of like we look out for our own. If you are not a part of us and you acting funny, be careful. Like, so I don't know. I liked it, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's a welcome, but it's like also like a warning message. Like, we cool, but we ain't that cool. Like, come in the city, yeah. Just mind your manners. Yeah. But it's like, mind your manners, do what you're supposed to do, and we ain't gonna have no problems. So that was the tone I picked up from this welcome from the city. I think it was very descriptive. Even when they were talking, and again, I guess you're right. I don't know. So it's probably about the book. I don't know
many things.
You know a lot. You know a lot.
Do you know how much information is out here?
You know a lot.
I know a fraction.
Same. You know a lot. But I think I like how it opened up and was just saying like this city is, it's not just like one person, one thing. It's like it really is all of us. And talking about like the eyes and how we move, and we might not. I don't know if they specifically said it like this, like. We might not always kind of like celebrate you, but we're always watching you. We always got our eye on you and stuff like that. So, yeah, like I said, I felt like it was a welcome, but watch yourself.
And I would agree of just like, it's not only people here, but it's the spirits out here. So there's always something going on, even when you feel like ain't nothing going on.
Yeah.
Because this book is very much both feet on different planes. We got feet on Earth and feet on the other side, at least in how some of the characters are being introduced. And so it's like, and their experiences with the spirit.
Oh yeah.
So I would agree. And some of the things, and I'm working on my note taking of just like putting it under Thomas.
We're gonna work on it together because I was just writing. I was like, "Oh, remember that? Remember that? Let me go back."
And look at you, because I can't do that. My memory would be like, boom. I'm over here still like, what did I read?
Mine is still. I probably need to go back.
Yeah.
It's just that one quote, and I will probably go back and listen to it again just to make sure.
I'll start Thomas over. But mine was unseen on purpose for a purpose. And that one struck me because it's just like you're in the shadows, not for no reason. We don't want to see you. Much how, the quotes from, church folks where they be like, children should be seen and heard. I don't want to hear you for a reason. It's not that you can't talk. I don't want you to talk.
But again, I'm just thinking about seen and heard when you think about children. It's just like, I always think about like there's still a responsibility because I know with me, even quote unquote, when they say that children should be seen and not heard, I always mind what I say around children or people that are a certain age. Everybody don't.
No, I'm saying that is something a person that is aware of a child.
I mean, because sometimes sometimes I be around people and they just be talking about I'm just like cringe.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying is that you realize this is a vulnerable person that is just got here and is learning life.
Absorb it. And
I'm like, there will be times where you are able to be mature enough to handle those types of conversations, or at least know enough of yourself to not be affected by it. But 9 times out of 10, a kid is not that.
Yeah.
And I've heard them, I've seen them, I'm related to some of them that be just like saying whatever, and it's like whether the child is 13 or 8 or 3, I'm like,
Even now, like my niece, they know, like my niece and nephew, I try not to curse around them. I still try not to curse around them, and they are becoming teenagers. All of them will be teenagers by their birthday this year. I understand, but yeah, seen it, not heard.
Yeah, and it's like, speaking of that in the context of children and how groups that are in power will still put other groups that may not just include children into that role of like, I'm an adult and you're in this child role and I need you to do what I'm saying because you don't know nothing. I want you to go ahead.
But also, like you're saying, as far as like the scene that I heard with that particular quote, for someone to say that in the same way we're saying to be seen and not heard, we have to recognize that they are there, whoever it is. Like there's somebody else recognizing that there is somebody there, that their purpose, like it said, is to be in the shadows and not to be heard. Like, and that it's a purpose for that. And there's something else that you just said that just triggered a thought from the definition part. They went into detail, I think it was in that section, where they were talking about a lot of times people that are defining things for other people, and those who are defined, which that was a layer for me, because that little section right there.
And to be fair, we have been talking about these, not just these definitions, but definitions in general.
Oh yeah.
And like recent time with certain music that just came out, and
books and everything,
genres, and that being a thing of just like, who said?
Yeah. Oh, like in that particular piece of artwork, there is a line that's talking about genres are a funny thing. But but yeah, I was just gonna say,
y'all know it's Beyonce.
Yeah.
Cowboy Carter.
Clearly, Cowboy Carter.
I just
yeehaw. I don't know where the hat. Yeehaw. We already know. But yeah, I thought because that was the thing. They went to like different definitions. I want to say they talked about like, they may have talked about oppressors, they may have talked about other stuff, but the simple thing of like the definition aspect or part of this book I thought was very important, because again, they are defining the title of this book, but then they go into the important piece of who defined what and who pretty much like who give these people that power, because it's almost like I don't want to say anybody, but people define things all the time, right? But then it's like, are you defining something for yourself, or did someone else, grand scheme of thing, define this for you, and then you are living within someone else's definition? And is it even right that they defined it for you? Because again, like the book said, there are those who define things, definers, and those who are defined. And it's like, it's almost like a Venn diagram is like the overlap. Like, was that the proper thing to do? Because a lot of times, like they said, those that define some things are either no longer here, have no association with it. And it's like, again, what give you the right to define this one thing? And it's not, we're talking about topics, but I mean, we're talking about this definition of this particular title, but I believe that the book is going farther into, I mean, so many layers. Like I said, like people, neighborhoods, lifestyles, whatever. And it's like, again, that particular section I think was important because it gives you definitions, so many definitions, because it went into literally, I would say the dictionary is like, this is one definition, adjective, noun, stuff like that. And then it also gives you other origins, like they were talking about in the books, different regions in Africa. So it's just like, there's all these definitions, and this is what people could and know and associate with vagabonds. Like I said, I came into this thinking one thing, and then I learned the other definition and other definitions. And then after all that, they talked about who is defining, and why is it right or okay that they define this thing for us, and how do we feel about that thing, almost. And it kind of leads into that question, but I did like that section based on what you just said, and I just thought,
I mean, nowadays, because we have so much access to platforms to speak up, more people that are within the groups that they are representing can then define themselves. But a lot of our definitions on words or groups or places or communities comes from a group that may not have had the best intentions when they named. This group, this people, like with Indigenous Americans, their names have changed so many times. Native Americans, Indians, American Indians, First Nations. But these days, they then tell people, this is what you call me. And this kind of goes and bleeds out to many different categories. You ask people what you want them to call. I'm a he, him. Some people are they, them. Some people are she, her, etc., etc. Instead of, I'm going to call you Quan.
Yeah.
My name is not Quan.
Yeah.
Your name is not Quan. And it's like, but I'm going to call you Quan.
Yeah.
Forever. And I'm not going to answer. And again, we know where that comes from.
Everything's rooted in racism. Everything's rooted in white supremacy.
So it's just, we're learning how to dismantle that because of how harmful it has been.
And that's why that other term, or I guess I don't know if you want to call it an idiom or black saying that we like to say is not what people call you, is what you answer to. It's like, you really have to know who you are for yourself. It's like,
and what it means to you.
Yeah, it's like you could be quote unquote XYZ in one person's view, but it's like, if I don't see myself as that, if I don't accept anybody calling me that, I'm not going to go by that. I'm not going to accept it. And that's another reason why, like, when I have the conversations, and I still feel like these can be somewhat nuanced, but when people have the conversations about or around crime, not just in America, in any place, and we talk about it, I'm always like, what is the root of it? Because sometimes I just be like, it was, again, back to my Uber moments and drives and rides and stuff. I took this person to work. You may be familiar, I don't know, but apparently this particular Walmart that I was taking them to work had a nickname because they was like, it gets rough over there, people be stealing. And I'm empathetic. Now, I'll tell you about it later. But I would say this is like a side story we could talk about and learn more about me. I don't know if I ever told you this story. So like when I was very little, this is very quick. I went to like one of those I was with my grandma. I went to like one of those little mom and pop, like they had like fresh produce in there, fruits and vegetables and stuff. So I watched my grandma like taste this, and then like she'll put some in her bag or whatever, and then like she like a grape here or whatever, and taste like, is this sweet, whatever, and like put a bunch of those in her bag, whatever. And so I took a bunch, like I meant a huge chunk
of what?
Of like grapes. And I'm like eating them, blah, 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 getting outside, eating them with my grandma. My grandma like, did you pay for those? She took me in there, tore my behind up. And, honey.
Is this
yes.
I love her. I know, and I know people will be like, y'all be laughing at black trauma. Sometimes it's just... Let
me tell you, tore my behind up, made me
apologize. She just so black for that.
Made me apologize to those people. And she's like, I'll pay for it. My grandson stole these. And I'm sitting here looking like, you stealing all the time. You just sitting over here eating these people grapes and tearing them up. But I learned from that moment.
She immediately was like, I have to discipline you.
I learned from that moment. I'm just like, I ain't gonna steal. But at the same time, I think about people's circumstances, and whenever quote unquote people be like, again, thinking about a definition of defining people, you hear all the time, or you look online or whatever, people will like social media is like, oh, these are criminals, they stole this, they stole that. And especially if it comes down to formula or whatever, if these people need it, who am I to judge? Because one, either they might not have a job. I always think about how, like, in those people's mind, that was the only choice. That's what I go to. In my mind, I'm like, this was the only choice. And depending on where they stole from, sometimes I'm just like, even if it quote unquote was the Gucci store, and again, I can't give these people business. I'm just throwing out a name. A fancy store that has valuable things. Let me just say that. And they literally have again, I'm not judging nobody, but they have the intent to sell it, to make money, to provide for their family. I'm still not going to judge them, because I'm like, in their mind, that's all they had. Like, they were at that point of knocking on, like, I need to make this move. I need to make something shake. It's either that, rob a bank, or rob somebody. So I'm about to rob this store that have all these things. And again, from one perspective, somebody's looking like these are criminals. And my perspective, I'm looking like this was a desperate person. Now, it's like I said, it's different if you go and rob a store and you took some very expensive headphones and you just wanted to walk down the street with them. Now I'm judging you because I'm like,
but that's the thing.
That's on the fence for me. But I'm thinking of providing and provisions of like people are like, my baby is at home hungry. I'm hungry. That is when I'm like, people are not providing. Like jobs are not paying. Like the government's not paying enough. Like I remember, I think I got food stamps one time, like when I was in college or wherever I was, and it was less than $20. I said, y'all could have kept this. If I would have known it was gonna be this low, yo, what are you saying to me? But they're like, you're a college student. You don't really need.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't know what I need.
You don't think I need to feed myself.
Apparently, I was eating too much. Apparently, I need to be in the hospital.
But
for
that's
3
the
days.
thing with.
But that's
who you
my
are.
Right, that's who I am. That's my definition.
You would
of how I
see things in a way where, oh, there's probably a cost to this effect. But there are a lot of people who are in power, in charge, that have incentives to not see things that way.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I'm like, we're going through all these changes now, socially, politically, because we're redefining a lot of what that means to everyone.
Yeah.
Some people aren't going to say, oh, that father is a criminal for trying to figure out how he can pay child support for his children by going in there and stealing, watches or something like that. Whereas someone else might say, how are we as a community, as society, providing him to be someone that is able to take care of himself and his family, and contributing to the community, because we're all here together.
Right.
But there's also lots of incentive that says, I think it's better that I have and you don't. Have and have nots. I also think it's better if I can feel superior than you. So I think of you as a less worthy, less valuable person because of the cards you got dealt. And sometimes we got to deal with the cards we have. That's difficult for so many people because you may not have had, the strongest upbringing. You may have been in the foster care system, adoption, or just with abusive caregivers, and you may not have been great in school. All these things contribute to how you then become an adult, and then you get judged for it. And it's like,
yeah.
So it sucks.
Yeah.
But again, we're redefining that. It's taking the process. But that's what happens when things change. Things get uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you, most definitely. But and this is just what we're figuring out together. Do you remember the part where they were talking about in the book and they were like, don't look back?
I think I do. Yeah.
And I was like, that reminds me of the passage in the Bible, the scripture, where what's his face turned into a pillar.
Oh.
You know it. Y'all know it. I haven't been in church for a while, so.
My mind was on a song by Miguel. I think he has a song called Don't Look Back.
I mean, it's all in the same. We all talking about people.
Yeah.
But they were saying like, don't look back because you'll be safer in that way. It was just like, if you look back, you may be in trouble. Mm-hmm. And I thought about that with the scripture of like what's her name? It was Lot's wife. I knew it was Lot.
Who was that?
I'm trying to figure out what her name is.
I was gonna say that was one of them. It was either that or H, and those are the only two names that come to mind right now.
Oh, she may not have had a name. Maybe that's why.
Yeah,
she didn't have one. That's why.
Okay.
Because I'm like, Sodom and Gomorrah, the angels that came down to visit Lot And, you know, everybody tries to associate that with homosexuality when Bible scholars and people that are really in tune with themselves have figured what it really means, which I appreciate. But yeah, it's lots why I've turned into Bill Scott, because told not to look back, and it's like, you'll be safer if you just keep forward. That parallel just made me think of it. So what about you and Miguel?
No, I wonder if the song was like something similar to that. You know, like look up the song and lyrics. I don't know, but I was gonna say no. I do remember that particular portion of the intro because I feel like this was a lengthy intro because I feel like it really did set the tone for the entire book. But no, that particular statement, I don't think they're wrong because for one, it's like we are telling because this is all in the welcome from the city. So the city is telling you this is how the culture is here. And we're telling you don't look back. It's just like this is our business or whatever's happened to there. Yeah. And it's like whatever's happened there, if you have an opportunity to go forward and not to face whatever's going on back there, you do that. Like go forward. So another song that I could think of is just like that's why I said it's a welcome, but it's also a warning in my mind. Because it was just like, we got some things that how we do things here. You need to abide by those things. And it was, to me, I thought it was poignant because it was like, again, I for some reason, I'm just like, whatever's happening to that person is that person's karma. But it kind of runs into the intro of the book.
We haven't gotten to Thomas yet. But
how they are.
Thomas just is a curious person. Thomas just is an adventurous person. So it's hard for me to have Thomas be who Thomas is within the parameters because the parameters are the exact opposite of who Thomas is, just at his core. And I don't know if that's a thing of Thomas dismissing to embrace another type of way of being or just finding a way to refine that behavior, if you know what I mean. Like there's a way to be adventurous and curious or just don't be adventurous and curious. Like in the context of us, you need to marry a woman and have children. I am gay. That's going to cause me issues. Which, I mean, the many stories. But then again, what do you do when your community, your country, all you know that is the only way that you can be? It's just something to think about. But that's all I have. At least till we get to the next part. You got anything else?
Have anything else. I'm excited to continue reading this book.
Again, we're gonna get that. You heard it here first.
Learning more.
I'm excited.
I'm excited because I would just say that particular culture, and it may just be the way that I just love language and love the way that people talk. I know that's interesting. That's an interesting way to say that. Like anytime I hear anybody say anything, it's like it's an interesting way to say that. And so far, I have heard a lot of interesting ways to say a lot of things. Especially once they start talking, I'm like, I like that. It's not even like a real bad thing. It's like I would have never thought to say it like that. But I'm gonna use that.
The accent and pronunciation.
I mean.
Just like that, the way of speaking of
the way they arrange their words
right.
to say the same thing that
I was thinking that too. I'm like,
we say things.
A lot of Africans, and I'm just putting it all together because the dialect is similar. Of course, they have anyway, I'm just like the way they will read you down. Like we have our ways as Southern Black people to like, oh bless you or something like that. They'll be like, Are you crawling or walking or something like that?
Yeah, like
are you slow? Are you calling me slow? It's like, oh.
Right. You're like, ooh.
I love.
It's like eat me down. Just oh wow.
I love how it's added
Yeah.
that little bit of sprinkling seasoning on there, a little garnish, little lime juice. Okay, cut through.
Yeah.
So I agree.
It is things like that because I'm gonna find that quote because it was a quote in there that I'm just like, I love it. I love it. It had to. I think it's in the first chapter or the first section where Thomas. So yeah.
Oh,
I'm thinking back to it. It had to be like right there. So I'm gonna write it down because I'm gonna go back and listen to it again. I might. No, I'm
gonna start Welcome to the City because I know I need to go over that.
I might,
but just know we're gonna be ready for Thomas.
Yeah, it's a quote.
Listen, Tommy.
It's a.
We're gonna get back to this.
It's a quote that might be just the title of the next episode because we got we be finding titles and stuff.
Yeah, we do. It's been so long, y'all.
It's been too long.
It's been a month
since you've been gone. I miss you. You know what that's from?
No.
Did I ever sing that?
Probably.
That if anybody in the comments know.
Y'all know. If you don't know, I don't know. Many things.
Well, you know what? I'll mention it in the next episode, and I'm gonna write it down to remember. But yeah, leave it in the comments if you know where that's from,
please.
But yeah, I don't have anything else. Make sure you all are going to be on the lookout for the new podcast episode that's coming up as well.
And that podcast is Sweet Heat. Find us on all available platforms. Thank y'all for stopping by to listen to us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate your time. Offer some suggestions. Look out for our Twitter at DuCubeBois and our Instagram at DuCubeBois as well. We're gonna get this thing together.
Yeah. All that good jazz.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Akeem.
And we'll see you in the next episode.